the interview with her and Tucker Carlson. I watched all of that part where she's talking about Nick Fuentes. She said that.
He's very interesting and he's very smart. And on a lot of things, there is value to be derived from that guy's messaging. I'm sorry, but he actually has a lot of things he talks about that you're like, oh, this is not a bad point about our country.
The problem is that Jews run America, okay? And the only reason we have Muslims here is because Jews are letting them in.
And on a lot of things, there is value to be derived from that guy's messaging.
A lot of women want to be and when I say like, that sounds bad when I say it like that. But there's like a lot of women that really want a guy to beat the shit out of them.
A lot of things he talks about that you're like, oh, this is not a bad point about our country.
The United States government has become the evil empire in the world.
He's very interesting and he's very smart.
I took Turning Point USA and I f***ed it. I took your organization, I took your baby, Turning Point USA, and I f***ed it.
There is value to be derived from that guy's messaging.
It's Joseph Stalin's birthday. Oh. I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. Always an admirer.
I'm sorry, but he actually has a lot of things he talks about that you're like, oh, this is not a bad point about our country.
So we'll be going out telling people, vote for a protest candidate, vote for the Democrat, vote for a third party, don't vote, vote for anyone else, do not give the anchor baby your vote. Disgusting. And that's a message for Vance in 28.
There is value to be derived from that guy's messaging.
Why do we say Hitler's cool and make jokes about this? Because we are destroying the secular religion of liberalism and the Holocaust, which go hand in glove. That's why. He asked me about the 6 million. To tell you the truth, I don't know how many Jews died during the Holocaust. I don't care.
He's very interesting.
Wow. So, all right, first I saw LJ ask, are these videos real? Yes, they are real. I've actually seen them right from his own site. These videos are 100% real. And it's funny you asked that question because when I initially saw this montage, I said, well, they must have taken Megyn out of context. You know, they must have spliced her in and, you know, she had more to say about this. No, I watched most of the exchange between the interview with her and Tucker Carlson. I watched all of that part where she's talking about Nick Fuentes. She said that. She said that he offers a lot of value and that she was not going to denounce him. Okay, so let's get into this. Michelle, she and Tucker continue to say that this is a free speech issue, you know, and she combats Ben Shapiro and saying that people are trying to deplatform her and deplatform Tucker when nobody's called for that. We just called for them to be consistent with their outrage, their moral outrage. When they call out anti-Semitism on the left, why aren't they calling it out on the right?
you know what? We don't need to deplatform to dislike. And what we're saying is that we're letting our dollars and our views walk because we don't agree with you. And you're showing again who you really are in those statements. Now, Nick Fuentes, he's not hiding who he is.
No,
he is a disgusting human being, a small man, frankly, because you can hear the things that he says, and he's always pumping himself up to be this big guy. He goes on the attack against, you know, a lot of people that we talk about, like and admire, and Officer Tatum, which is funny. He goes back and forth with him all the time, but he would never say that to his face because mess around and you would really find out, Fuentes, who you are, what your stock is. So intelligence be darned. You can have intelligence and be completely ignorant. His intelligence is nothing because it lacks knowledge. It lacks wisdom. He does not know when to stop. And the things that he said are vile. They're disgusting. Yeah, First Amendment. He could say anything he wants, and then we have the right to walk away. We don't have to support it or what they're doing. What Candace, people like Candace and Tucker and Megyn are doing, they're almost giving their endorsement. When they do not denounce, they endorse. essentially. And when you bring them on your show, you endorse that mayhem, that foolishness, that disgusting rhetoric. And the thing is, we are talking about them as if they are right. No, they made their wealth on the right. Let's not confuse them being right or righteous, because they made their money on the right.
Yeah.
I'm with Michelle, because listen, were they ever really right, or were they just collecting their coins on the right? That I've been watching them, and I'm like, I don't know if y'all were ever really on the right. And the thing is, the love of money is the root of all evil. And that means that you will fall for anything. You will say anything. As I said before, you have free will. That includes free speech, but that does not free you from their consequences. So if people decide they don't want to listen to you anymore, they are denouncing you, they want nothing to do with you, because again, you are straddling the fence. And I like to remind people, KJ and Michelle, you've never heard me say this, but I love to remind people on my channel, when you straddle the fence, understand Satan owns that fence. So when you're sitting down there trying to play both sides, you're actually siding with Satan. And a lot of people don't realize that. And that's what they're doing. All of them have embodied the Antichrist spirit, and they think that they're standing on righteousness. And again, that is how the false angel of light will capture people, because you think you're standing for righteousness when all you're trying to do is be right. And as my sister, Speak Your Voice First, always says, I would rather be righteous than to be right. And that is the truth.
Now, let me ask you ladies this. I want to start with you, Michelle, because some people, some conservatives who are still supporting Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly, they say, we're putting forth a new standard on the right that says, if you don't say X on this subject, then you're complicit from the party. You're guilty. You're banned from the party. So do you feel like this is what we're doing here? Is this something where we're trying to say, do you think it's okay to say, Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, you are staying silent about this? And then is it okay to question their agenda, their what's the word? Is it okay to question whether they're actually conservative? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I said what I said. They perpetrated what seemed to be a fraud in the most part, and that they were on the right. They were in the right because that was the party that was popular. We keep confusing and twisting up what is right, what is far right, because we use these terms loosely, and we've kind of stretched them and changed them. They've morphed into other things, which is why I loved the name of our podcast, and even Crystal, what you stand for. We are Christian conservatives. So let's be clear. Our conservatism also has to do with our faith and our Christianity. And that part of us on the right is what makes us call these things out. I'm not gonna kick you out of the party. I'm just not inviting you back. I mean, you can say you're being banned. I'm not banning you. I'm just not inviting you. I'm not inviting you into my home, which means my television screen or my phone screen. I'm just not having that anymore. And the time is coming, really, when it comes down to our faith. And let's just go back to Christianity, politics aside, and all of that rhetoric aside, where we're going to have to actually pick sides, where we have to either say right is right and wrong is wrong. We're going to have to start saying it with clarity. Be perfectly clear. Let your yes be your yes. Let your no be your no. Walk in integrity and call out those things which are wrong. And if you say something wrong, it's okay to say, you know what, I shouldn't have said that. Or I don't agree with that now. And or that was wrong. They don't want to do that because they have a high horse, they have an amazing platform, and they don't have to. That is okay. That doesn't prevent us, all of our small channels and other voices, to say, you know what, we gave you that. We put you where you are right now. We did. You didn't make that money by yourself. God allowed it. You didn't do that. Satan may have helped in the case of Nick Fuentes, which, by the way, he reminds me of Lord Farquaad so much. That is all I can think of is Shrek and all of his money and his castle. But he's a wee little man who's just really trying to use other people to do his bidding. But no, we don't have to buy into that. We can call it out. We're going to have to operate in our faith and our integrity. You are going to be defined right now on this earth for what you do and what you say. Are you a Christian or aren't you? Guys, be ready. Because at the very beginning of this show, a lot of people were talking about, I hope it's not a civil war. Guys, if it is, you'd better be ready. If it is, where do you stand? And it doesn't have to be a civil war, because right now we are battling a spiritual war. And where are you ready in spiritual warfare? Because I have my weapons around me, beside me. I have my warriors there too. Trust and believe. I come packing and strapped. You had better be ready. And that's what we are here. And that's what we're saying about them. They give a good word, but they give a wicked tongue and a lying tongue. They make things sound soothing, but you have to figure out where they are. We have to start calling out all of that leadership for what they are, and not just, it's for an appointed time, and not just like they like to do. You know, President Trump is appointed and anointed to be the president and the leadership right now. Yes. He is doing things and God is using him. When people say, let the Lord use you, the God has used this man and this administration. And for whatever reasons, those Megyn Kelly and all, they got where they got. God allowed it. But it's time for us to start saying, where do you really stand? Who are you exposing? People are being exposed, and that's all right.
Yeah. I mean, Crystal, what I want to talk to you about is, I 100% agree with everything you said, Michelle. I am right there with you. But there are some who say when we speak like that as Christian conservatives, we're being Puritans. You know, we're being too legalese, or, you know, we are being in a way where just too Bible-listic, you know, there's gray there. And, you know, and then they also talk about the free speech argument. You know, what are your thoughts, or what do you say to that, Crystal?
I remind people of John 7:24. We are to judge righteously, and that's what we're supposed to do. And I'm going to judge righteously, because regardless of what anybody thinks, yes, we are here in the conservative movement, but we are Christians first and foremost. That is who we are. This is how we identify. I am Crystal beyond labels, because I don't take on the labels of the world. I only live by the label of the Lord God gave me. I am his daughter. I'm his representation. I pick up my cross daily. I stand for him. And I don't care if people feel like they feel some way, they don't feel like they should be speaking out. Megyn doesn't feel like she should speak up. They love to tout their faith. They love to say, Christ is king, Christ is king. Okay, well, Christ is king. Ezekiel 3:18-19 tells you, if I warn you and tell you to let someone know what they're doing is wrong, and you say nothing, that blood will be on your head. But if you do tell them and they still continue to do it, then that blood will be on their head. My job is to warn. I am a watchman. And when God has blessed Candace, Megyn, Tucker, all of them with those platforms, it was never given to them for them to be lackluster and become Tucker Carlson. It was never supposed to be that. You were supposed to use it for the honor and glory of the Lord. As I tell everybody, every one of us that are God's children, we all have the same purpose, which is to bring honor and glory to our Father and to make disciples of all nations. That is our purpose here. How we execute it through the gifts and talents that he's given us, that will look differently among us. And they were given those platforms because those were their gifts and talents, and they're not using it responsibly. And as Michelle says, this is exposure season. So we watch your love of money. Your love of money is why you're doing what you're doing. Your love of money is why you went from standing up and saying the things that people were doing were wrong, and now you're actually agreeing with Nick Fuentes, who I agree, he looks like Laura Farquhar, but I also thought about Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah,
Rumpelstiltskin. Sorry. You side with someone who is full of hatred. Listen, the Lord does not want us hating. And when you stand with people, when the way Candace speaks, that is hate. The way Nick speaks, that is hate. When you side with people that stand for hate, but then they want to yell, Christ is king. As I remind people, and I saw somebody put in the comments, I always remind people, stop playing that. Christ is king, Christ is king. Christ is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. That's who he is. Yes. When you brought him down to a man because Charles is king. So are you bringing him down to that level? No, he is the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So yes, we must call them out. We are supposed to do that because they themselves claim to be followers of Christ. They claim it. If they never did it, then that is not our place to judge. You do what you do. You out there doing what you do. The Lord will judge you. But the minute you decide you're going to take on that banner, oh, I am going to judge you, and I'm going to judge you righteously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crystal, I want to get to Pastor Damon's super chat.
Yes.
But I have to agree with you. And you said something that was so important when you Christ is King, it brought me right back to like Tucker Carlson, where he's all about Jesus in one breath. And then the next clip, and we've shown the clip here, he's talking about how Sharia law is not that bad because overseas in those nations, there's no carjackings. So what we know from the example in the Bible is they're the first ones to say, oh, we're disciples. They're going to be waving palm leaves. And the next day they're going to be say, crucify him. So this is what I see playing out, and we are seeing it live and in real time because it's not just about money, like the song goes. This is also about power and self-preservation. It is not about sacrifice. It's not about people. It's not about the cause. They need to keep that power, and they'll do what it takes to preserve themselves.
Right. And this is what I'm keep trying to tell people. I cannot continue to support someone that, like Tucker, has gone so far as to paint Islamists in a good light.
Yeah.
He hasn't had a single debate with anyone on these issues. Instead, he continues to bring on pro-Islam, anti-Israel people on his podcast and blanket them with easy interviews. Okay, so and with Megyn Kelly, some people are saying, well, she doesn't have to say something about Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. She talks and speaks out about other things. Why do you feel like she has to say something about what they're doing? Well, she has a large platform. With that come privilege, come responsibility, and accountability. Okay. And so my thing is be consistent. You sit here and you call out the left on trans stuff, on anti-Semitism, on, racial idolatry and racial bias. And yet you stay silent and you feel like we, the audience, the viewers, are not supposed to hold you accountable for calling these people out, friend or foe. Exactly. To me, stand on truth. This is what I'm talking about. And I just don't understand people that say, oh, we're supposed to turn away. We're supposed to overlook it. And it's okay if they remain silent. It's not a big deal because they have this other body of work where they're calling out things. Well, then don't they lose legitimacy?
It's just like Jamal Bryant, the situation. People say you shouldn't call out those things. Why? There are people that are observing what these people are doing. Right. And if we don't call it out and be the watchman that God has called each and every one of his children to be, then we are just as bad as they are. Megyn not calling it out, still supporting, liking what they're doing. By your fruit, we will know you. And your fruit is showing. We see what you're doing. You can't stand up for the truth. You will cower. Then as the Lord says, if you are ashamed of me here on earth, I will be ashamed of you in heaven. You can't call out that what they're doing is hateful, sinful, and against God, because let's call a spade a spade. Hate is sinful. So when you're sitting here supporting people that are doing that and you're saying, I'm not going to call it down, you have a problem. You are coming into agreement. And I just have to keep saying that you're coming into agreement with sin. You're coming into agreement with things that God does not stand for. When you come into agreement with those things, then we can't look at you the same. I'm sorry. And we're going to call you out, and you are required to stand up and speak the truth, because if all the rest of us with smaller platforms are going to do it, then you with your big platform that the Lord has blessed you with, you better use your platform to do what God has called you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get to Pastor Damon's super chat. Thank you so much, Pastor Damon. All right. He says, Matthew 24:9, then they will deliver you up to tribulation and kill you, and you will be hated by all nations for my name's sake, to the Jews first. Yeah, that's another thing. They are on this Israel kick, and I think it's a cop-out. Let's take a look at this, because they say that people are upset with them because they have questioned Israel. And that's not it at all. It's not it at all. They've done a lot more than question. But I want you guys, this is the actual interview. And this is a small snippet here. I wanted to share with you all and get your perspective on this. All right, just a couple of minutes here.
The last time I came on your evening show by some official Jewish group that said Charlie was an anti-Semite too. Charlie Kirk. Okay. Was it then? Was that the day I turned anti-Semitic? I'm trying to track it in my head. So then the next thing that happened was I went on with Piers Morgan and I said, I don't believe the Hamas ministry of anything. I don't believe their numbers, and I believe they're propagandists, and I don't believe their photos they put out. But I also said Israel needs to wrap up this war because they're losing support. And I got called anti-Semitic by a bunch of people. A lot of pressure from American Jews who are active on Israel, which is the difference. No, I'm not going to take it back. I meant every word I said. None of it makes me anti-Semitic. And then came the Tucker's interviewed Nick, and you must disavow him. Now you really need to break up with Tucker. As if my entire career rises or falls based on who my friends are and whose interview I decide to weigh in on. Well, it's ridiculous. So first of all, I had no problem with the fact that you interviewed Nick Fuentes and you did it your way. And I happen to know, because I know you, and I know some other things about that interview, that you did it with a pure heart. It wasn't because you were in love with all of Nick Fuentes' messages at all. But I know you, and I understood, this is, you don't have to confirm or deny, but I thought you were very much trying to reach him with your main message that you say all the time, which is in the conservative sphere, on the right, we don't judge people by identity. You didn't.
What? I mean, I can't, this is the same person that we celebrated her interview with what was his name, the guy from CNN, Jake Tapper.
Yeah.
We celebrated her interview with Jake Tapper because she said that they were friends. Like, he had been over her house, they've had dinner and things. And when he came out with that book, and he was trying to say that he didn't know that Biden had any type of degeneracy or degenerative behaviors and things. He didn't know. And she nailed him. She was like, how didn't you know? She was providing examples. She asked the hard questions. She did not let him get away with that lie. Okay. The same thing she did with Trump. Remember? I mean, when Trump was running for office the first time and she gave him hard questions, you know, she took a lot of slack for that, but she did it. You know, Tucker Carlson, when he was questioning Ted Cruz, about his stance on Israel, he was giving him the data and he was giving him the hard questions. But for her to sit here, I mean, this has got to be a joke. For her to sit here and say, "Oh, I know what you were doing on that interview, and we don't give people force people of identity." Michelle, what is going on here?
Trust me, guys, she knows his heart. Don't worry about it. Ignore everything else because she knows his heart. And let me tell you about the wicked heart and what God knows about the heart. And if what she knows about his heart is anything what God's, I guarantee what she knows is not what the Lord knows. Exactly. And so again, it goes back to discernment. So this is soft. This is their friendship. And the way that they're laughing about it, like, we never do anything wrong. It's laughable. We are a joke to them. Because again, this is about power. This is about money. They are so confident and comfortable with their platform that they don't think anyone can knock them off of their high horse.
Yeah.
But high horses can get knocked down.
Right.
All the time.
And Crystal, even if, let's say there is some type of inside thing going on here, don't they owe it to the audience to give hard questions to someone like Nick Fuentes, to make Candace Owens, hold her to account for the crazy accusations that she has pushed out here without any type of support?
Yes, because again, your platform is not about you. It's about your audience. You are here to serve your audience because again, especially as people who say they are followers of Christ, this platform doesn't belong to you. You are stewarding the platform that the Lord has blessed you with. So you are supposed to do the job that God gave you. And when you sit down here and you softball it and you try to pretend and so on and so forth, and we shouldn't call this out. And I know your heart, as Michelle says, yes, the heart is wicked, though. We know that. We know that heart is wicked. So don't tell me that you know his heart. You are putting out messages for the audience that will confuse them, because on one hand you're this way, and then the other hand you're that way. Again, this fence that these people are sitting on belongs to Satan. That's all I want people to know, because they don't want to choose a side. You have to choose a side, people, period, point blank. You can't be playing in this little pond that they like to play in, because it's not real. And God is exposing, and God is pulling down. That's the thing. He's exposing and he's pulling you down. He's pulling down those, and people will see it. The people that aren't standing up boldly for him and doing what they're supposed to do and are promoting lies, promoting sin, promoting all of this, they will lose their platform, because again, God blessed you with that. That was never yours.
Absolutely, folks. This is a season where Christians cannot be neutral. This moment demands clarity. Neutrality benefits deception, okay? Silence empowers lies, all right? And confusion advances evil. And Christian conservatives, we understand you can defend lawful authority without worshiping government, okay? You can oppose injustice without endorsing chaos. All right. And listen, when a society celebrates lawlessness, demonizes order, and excuses violence, folks, we got a real problem. All right. We got a real problem. And again, the danger isn't in disagreement, because I disagree with their stance on this. It's abandoning standards of truth. Okay. What she's doing, co-signing Candace Owens and all this type of stuff, when a public figure makes serious accusations without evidence, especially about murder, how Candace Owens was saying TPUSA was involved and all this type of stuff, the issue isn't opinion, okay? It's how did you decide that this was true enough to say publicly? And in the inversion framework, as I was mentioning before, this is the spirit of the Antichrist. Process matters more than posture. This is what we're dealing with. Okay. So we got to call this stuff out, and I'm going to continue to call it out.
Christian conservative is our name.